Welcome to Yacht Talk. We are at the new headquarters of Harrison Eidsgaard in Richmond, southwest London, to discuss eco-design in yachting. Let's go. Ewa and Ben, it's lovely to welcome you back on Yacht Talk. You have been busy lately at Harrison Eidsgaard. Tell us about the latest new offices, maybe to start with.
So we moved here back in August, I think, of last year.
Yes.
And you know, fantastic to actually finally we have our own place. We own the office building, and we were able to really design it how we function as an office. So that was for us incredibly exciting to really develop it as we wanted. We're now 16 people here, so we're kind of medium-sized office. And yeah, it's lovely to have all of our materials, and you know, it really is somewhere, where we really encourage clients to come here, because that's where they really get an essence of how we work and the kind of working environment and the people here.
It's very creative. It's great for the team to have a lot of space to eat. We eat lunch together. It's sort of a little bit more communal since we moved here, so fantastic.
So this episode of Yacht Talk is dedicated to sustainability in yachting. Do you think it's your role as designers to influence and to steer the clients towards more eco-friendly solutions?
I think it's definitely our role to research those solutions and research new materials, be aware of what is there, have an opinion about it, have an opinion about the aesthetic values, and really looking at ecological materials. You always have to look at the whole life cycle of a product. Where does it come from? How do you recycle it? How do you use it? For how long can you use it? Is it very specific? Will one client like it, but the next owner definitely get rid of it? So there is definitely lots of research we have to do, and I think it is, and naturally comes to be, perhaps our job to make sure that questions about ecological preferences come at the very beginning. It has to be part of the brief, and it often is. It's driven by the clients, not just us or the yards. For example, if you look at teak, that is a topic that we cannot avoid. So that no matter what clients' preferences are, it has to be discussed at the beginning of every project. There is not enough of it. Installing it or asking for it, even if there is a remaining stock somewhere, has almost reputational impact on the yacht. So finding good alternatives, fake or natural, is crucial.
And there's there's also a very interesting, so I was reading recently a very interesting kind of parallel with that, which is that teak, we know it's going to come to an end. We know it, the industry knows it, everybody's desperately looking for an alternative. We have kind of Aztec and stuff which is artificial, which is sort of plastic based, which again has its environmental issues, and we're all looking to stop microplastics. But what's interesting as well is you have within the industry, you have an entire group of tradesmen, who work for the shipyards, who are skilled in the laying of teak, and teak is a wood. It is that product. And actually, what I was reading about is looking for materials which are similar, have similar properties, also then is beneficial to a yard, because they don't have to then upskill or change the skills of their workforce to start working with that. So for instance, maple is one of the woods which is being looked at, and there's a hardening process. And these are all being sort of experimented on at the moment, but I think that is something we will for sure see in the coming years. Teak will be a thing of the past.
So when we look at the circular economy and recycle, reuse and reduce, what do you think are the most promising aspects of it, and maybe some of the innovations you're currently seeing in industry that are very exciting?
I think recycling is huge, and it really varies from alternatives to stones, and we can show you later. We have some exciting things that can be used as countertops, which are recycled domestic products, plastic,
Glass is something else. We
recycled nylon fibers
I think
and reduce as well. I think people are very conscious about the amount of plastic that's being used. So unless something like actually recycled nylon carpets can be kept in a sort of closed loop where you use the product and during the manufacturing of it, none of the chemicals escapes, and it's really properly ecological result. A lot of people do hesitate to use plastic on board for all sorts of obvious health reasons and so on and so forth. So reuse and recycle, we definitely see
and also
big trends.
treatment. The treatment, so the way in which materials are treated, is also important because, you know, we're doing a lot of work now with woods, for instance, where we're looking at applying oils that you regenerate. So yes, you understand that yes, maybe there is a spillage, you know, someone spills something on it, but actually to get that wood back to the finish you want, it's about kind of almost feeding the wood rather than processes like lacquer where you're sealing the wood. And in that respect, you know, the lacquer itself, there's lots of chemicals, you know, the process itself is not a very environmentally friendly one. So this is where perhaps using natural oils, and, you know, we're working with a company at the moment where, I mean, it's almost like going into a kind of apocryphy where they have beeswax and lots of natural elements for staining and for whatever that then give this wonderful luster to the wood. And it's a very natural process.
Absolutely. And another very interesting trend we've seen recently is clients' attention to waste. So we had several interactions with the clients who thought a little bit about what was actually going to happen to that particular slab of marble and said, actually, let's not just do one countertop out of it and then change the color in the next bathroom. Let's reuse it. Let's not waste. And I think we were both thinking, that's actually great. Not every bathroom has to have different color countertop when you think about it.
But
great development.
Thinking, you know, stone, I mean, recently, it is interesting. We are running out of stones which in the past we used them as the background stone because they were plentiful. And suddenly we're finding, actually we can't find it in Italy. We're having to go to Turkey or even further afield. And this is really bringing to the forefront, you know, there is only a finite amount. You know, it's dug out of the ground. The earth only produced so much that we know about. And I think that is something, again, we're becoming more and more aware of. We need to use these materials preciously rather than liberally, you know, and I think that then gives it value.
It's not always search for perfection. You know, that's the nature of marble. You go to those amazing yards and you see hundreds upon hundreds of slabs, many of which will be disregarded because they have a natural blemish, which is nature's signature. And I appreciate in many circumstances you wouldn't want to use a particular slab, but not always. So sometimes it is accepting the beauty of the nature.
What's important in luxury is the storytelling behind a product in particular. And you're telling us that with circularity, that's something that you can also do. Because when a product has been reused or upcycled or recycled, but there's a whole lot of storytelling to go with it, I guess.
A carpet manufacturer who showed us actually a silk carpet rug, which was made out of upcycled saris from India. But the story was far more reaching because in that particular factory, they employed women and enabled them to find really proper jobs and be really skilled. And they made these beautiful woven rugs which had just tiny accents of color, and they didn't come in a particular array of colors. There was a beautiful gray and a beautiful natural color, but it did have a story.
As part of Heesen's Blue Tech program, you have to use alternative materials and recycling. So tell us more about some of those amazing products you are using.
Well, we have a number of them to show you downstairs, if we can tempt you.
Exactly, because it's quite interesting. We're working with Heesen at the moment on a project whereby we're looking at alternative schemes, and one of the schemes we'd very much like to promote is something that has much more of a kind of an environmental background to it. You know, of course, we can't do the entire thing, but we really want it to sort of to carry those environmental credentials.
Yeah, and showcase materials.
All right, so shall we take a look?
Let's
go.
So we have quite a few samples of your very innovative and exciting materials here. What is this, for instance?
What do you think, Charlotte? Try to guess.
Well, it looks like slate, but it can't be since you can bend it.
It is actually. Slate veneer, we're using it on a number of projects, and obviously beautiful looking, you can bend it around the curves, but incredibly light. And that is fantastic when you look at it from eco perspective, the amount of transportation and thickness of the
Yep.
material, clear benefits.
Exactly. So, you know, by taking such a thin veneer, you use very little of the material. What we're doing...
Look incredible, right?
Exactly. So what we're doing on one of our projects is then having it on an entire atrium, 3-story atrium wall. And it really looks like you have a solid slab of slate sitting there in the atrium. So no, it's a wonderful material.
And here you've got a few composites. What are they made of?
Recycled materials, very helpfully at the back of the material. You can see what it is. So industrial pipes, refrigerators, which are then converted into super surfaces. You can use it on countertops, coffee tables, objects with a story, a little bit of a talking point.
Woods is always, you know, I mean, always we have to have woods on board, and this is something we're looking with Heesen at, perhaps using bamboo. Bamboo is incredibly fast growing. You know, we can do a lot with it. And so looking for alternatives to your conventional oak or sort of reconstituted.
And it has that super warm, very natural look. So we're obviously looking how to arrange it in a very nice contemporary way. But we're going to get there.
Yeah. And over there, you have what looks like straw of flowers.
Exactly.
Tell me about it.
It's a fantastic material which we actually sourced, and then subsequently I went to a restaurant which was clad in it, and you have to smell. It's
wonderful.
chamomile.
Yeah.
So it's just hay essentially from the Alps with little inclusions of flowers, different flowers, husk. Which is then made into this very green wall covering using really well-sourced glues. And it's just, I think, the experience of how it makes you feel, super suitable for spas, relaxation rooms. I mean, you could clad everything in it, but maybe not a good idea.
Wonderful alpine flowers, amazing.
This is an example of recycled glass that we're using on a number of projects, and it works fantastically backlit.
Super translucent, yes, as durable, if not more durable than stone.
What about this?
It's a favourite.
So
such
magnificent.
a wonderful technique, really maintained by artisans in this particular case.
I mean, it's a very ancient technique.
Straw marquetry requires a lot of skill, but the effect is incredible, incredibly luminous. Something that we use on furniture, wall coverings, door panels.
It is fragile, so you have to pay attention to that. But it is, I mean, the luster and the kind of the way in which it plays with the light it's incredible.
And fantastic that the technique of doing it is a real craft and art. And then if we can just show you carpets, so the difference between real silk and nylon-based silk.
All right.
It's incredible how much innovation has gone into this type of carpet, which is fully recycled and can be recycled again.
What are your hopes and wishes for the future of sustainable yachting?
I think I am looking forward to the eco discussion being really taken seriously without being too judgmental about any choices that clients or yards or designers make. What's important is that we actually do think, and that we research and therefore take those choices consciously.
And offer, you know, like you say,
alternatives.
offer alternatives. So actually to be in a position where we can actively offer clients options. And part of that, of course, is, you know, and thankfully we're in an industry where there is investment, there is money, and therefore we can hopefully even maybe champion and pioneer new technologies or new ways in which materials are treated. You know, of course, we also have to be able to guarantee, you know, that in 5 years' time, things aren't going to start falling apart. So there is a process of research and development which needs to take place over a number of years before we can really get behind some of these new products.
Perhaps, you know, we can excite the owners enough that they are willing to take that risk, and they do realize that there are shortcomings of some products which are pioneer products which we've seen downstairs. And that is something I'm sure some of them will be willing to do.
But it's hugely exciting. I mean, I think,
Yeah, it is
you know, it's a very exciting, it's a very current topic, and it's something that, you know, we're really interested in, and I think we are already as a company diving headfirst into it to really try and see how we can use it best within
And as
our
you've seen,
designs.
it's lots of really fun products, and I think those products tell a story, and a lot of the owners like to tell a story when they have guests on board. So I'm very hopeful, and I think you will see lots of them.
Ewa and Ben, thank you so much.
Thank you, Charlotte.
Thank you.
So interesting to hear about some of the steps the industry is taking to become more sustainable. Stay with us, more episodes of Yacht Talk on their way, filmed here in London.